It was a beautiful September morning, with miles and miles of sunshine. It was quiet, too quiet, for soon after this peace and stillness, the atmosphere of tranquility would be turned into horror. On September the 11th, 2001, at approximately 8:45 a.m., a passenger plane crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. And less than 20 minutes after the North Tower was hit, the South Tower of the World Trade Center was also hit by a passenger plane. For a moment, the world truly did stand still. But even though these events took many by surprise, could the significance of the date September 11th be found among the religious communities throughout the world? And could the events of that clear September morning be found in the Bible? Let us turn now and see if we can find the significance of September 11th and the Bible. Rosh Hashanah is the autumn festival that celebrates the beginning of the Jewish New Year. Rosh Hashanah falls on the first day of Tishri on the Jewish calendar and generally falls in the month of September on the Gregorian calendar. In 2001, Rosh Hashanah occurred on September 18th, just a week after the towers fell. In 2018, Rosh Hashanah fell on September 10th, just one day before the 17th anniversary of the destruction of the Twin Towers. The Greek Orthodox Church celebrates her liturgical New Year on September 1st, and amazingly, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church celebrates the New Year on September the 11th. For the Ethiopians, September 11th traditionally marks the end of the rainy season. It has also been traditionally associated with the return of the Queen of Sheba to Ethiopia from Jerusalem after her long visit with King Solomon. Thus, 3 New Year observances by 3 different religious bodies, all on or around September the 11th. In the second chapter of the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel reveals the dream of the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar and the interpretation thereof. The king had seen a great image or statue whose brightness was excellent and whose form was terrible. The statue's head was of gold, the arms and chest of silver, the belly and thighs of brass, the legs of iron, and the feet were part iron and part clay. The king saw this until a stone was cut without hands, struck the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke the statue to pieces. Daniel continues, Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together, and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. Daniel chapter 2, verse 35. Some hold that the image of Nebuchadnezzar's dream and the Twin Towers parallel each other inversely. For example, Nebuchadnezzar's image had at its base iron and clay toes, and on the top a head of gold. Mirroring this, the Twin Towers stowed gold in the basement, and the people trapped on the upper floors were the clay mixed with the iron girders. Just as Nebuchadnezzar's image had 2 legs of iron, so the Twin Towers were like 2 iron legs sticking out of the earth with a head of gold buried underground. Simply put, the World Trade Center was Nebuchadnezzar's image upside down. Now the uncut mountain that destroys the image of metal and clay has been identified as Jesus Christ by many Protestant Christian schools of theology. Orthodox Christianity, on the other hand, identifies the uncut mountain as the Blessed Virgin Mary. Whoever or whatever the uncut mountain is, the parallels of the destruction of Nebuchadnezzar's image and the destruction of the 2 towers in New York City are quite stunning. Just as the dust of the crumbled towers covered Manhattan on that clear day in September, so too the image of Nebuchadnezzar was crushed to powder and carried away by the wind. Another sign that connects the significance of September the 11th and the Bible is the birth date of Jesus Christ. Traditionally speaking, the birth of Christ is accepted as December 25th, but the actual birth date of Christ could be earlier in the year. In his book, The Star That Astonished the World, which was published 10 years prior to the collapse of the World Trade Center, Dr. Ernest L. Martin, using scientific astronomy and comparing those findings with events recorded in the Bible, has come to the conclusion that Jesus Christ was born on September the 11th in 3 BC. What is even more significant is that September the 11th in 3 BC was Tishri the 1st on the Jewish calendar. So if these calculations are correct, then on September the 11th in 3 BC, Jesus Christ was born on Rosh Hashanah, New Year's Day. Finally, one of the most telling prophecies in the Bible that could be pointing to the tragedy of September the 11th in 2001 is found in the book of Isaiah. Just as that clear, quiet morning of September seemed heavenly, but soon turned into destruction, so too in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 25, is a similar scenario presented. The prophet paints a beautiful picture of rivers and flowing streams upon hills and mountains, until suddenly a catastrophe occurs. Isaiah speaks, And there shall be upon every high mountain, and upon every high hill, rivers and streams of water, in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 25. This is the leap of faith.